sometimes causes me anguish to the point of view of my sitting alone and shedding tears for this nation. That this country is not poor, this country is rich. It has been made poor by these great dacoits who are ruling our country today. And those who have ruled this country in the past, I am not here to defend any political party. But parties, ladies and gentlemen, are a democratic necessity. They say that some ancient rishi in the Hindu pantheon had cursed man that you can neither do with woman nor without woman. Maybe the curse was right, but ladies and gentlemen, somebody must have cursed democracy that you can neither do with parties nor without parties. Parties are a must. Otherwise, you will have 500 individuals sitting in parliament. Each will be at loggerheads with the remaining 499, and there will be nothing but chaos. The party system at least produces some kind of an intelligible order. So, ladies and gentlemen, today, and I wish to say this for my young friend Prashant in particular, that you belong to a political party not because it is a perfect party, but because it is less dishonorable than other parties. That at least is a test which somebody should adopt. Those who thinks that he is too good to join a political party, you can't do without political party. Political party provides a platform, it provides you an audience for your speeches, and it certainly, when you are on a good cause, it does put strength in your metal in your spine, and that is how you are able to make some effective contribution to the solution of the problem. And that, ladies and gentlemen, takes me to the role of the bar. I believe that the bar has also failed the country. Leave aside distinguished people like my friend Anil, and Prashant, and Tulsi. They are all great examples of lawyers who are exceptions. But ladies and gentlemen, let me recall to you the year 1965, when some of you youngsters were not even born. At least you were not born in the profession. We had a Commonwealth Lawyers Conference in Sydney, Australia. The conference was inaugurated by no less a person than the Prime Minister of Australia, Sir Robert Menzies. Sir Robert had been the Attorney General of his country for 15 years before he became the Prime Minister of Australia. In his opening address to the Commonwealth lawyers, he said wonderful things about the bar. He said, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to assure you that today I am able to function as the Prime Minister of this country because I have a sufficient number of lawyers in my party, and those members of my party are members of my party in Parliament. Then he went further. He said, another important factor more than the one which I have mentioned is that there are distinguished lawyers who are members of the opposition in my Parliament. I am indebted to them more than I am indebted to the lawyers in my own political party, because lawyers have one beauty. They know the strength of the opponent, they know their own weakness, and at least what they do in the adversarial system in the courts of law, they don't do it in Parliament. So I am very happy that I have a sufficient number of lawyers in my Parliament. That is why I am able to function as a Prime Minister. But if today the number goes below a particular point, be sure that I shall no longer be able to remain as the Prime Minister of my country. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a great tribute which I heard, and it is a tribute which has made me proud of the choice that I made, that I joined the legal profession when I was young, contrary to the advice of my father. But ladies and gentlemen, today where does the bar stand? Read a common joke book and pick it up. Pick it up from a bookseller on the footpath. On the cover page you will find a house advertised for sale. Beautiful house, beautiful scenery, a beautiful rivulet and lakes and so on and so forth. The last qualification is not a lawyer within a mile. And ladies and gentlemen, my friend Professor Galanter has now produced a book, The Bar Lawyers, is a collection of huge jokes about the law, about the lawyers. One of the jokes I am tempted to share with you. The pharmaceutical laboratories in the United States have decided that in their laboratories, in their scientific experiments, hereafter they are going to use rats instead of lawyers. And they are going to use lawyers instead of rats. So when I read the first line, I said, my God, lawyers have some contribution to make to the growth of science. It must be a flattering joke. But ladies and gentlemen, then the laboratories gave 3 reasons. The first reason was that lawyers are more numerous than rats. The second reason was that it is difficult to fall in love with lawyers as we occasionally fall in love with our rats. And the third was more humiliating than the first 2. That there are certain things which lawyers do which even rats will not do. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where we have now reached, and the bar has to pick up its socks, pick up its bootstraps, and stand up and be counted. And if independent lawyers don't speak their mind, be sure no one in this country is going to speak the truth. So that is a great responsibility for you. When you find a person who is not prepared to speak the truth because he has his professional interest in precedence to the interests of the nation, ladies and gentlemen, that's the time when you should disown that lawyer. I am all for a person serving his own community and his family. But if you find that your family and your community is hurt in the interest of the nation or the interest of your party, disown him and show your loyalty to the party. But if you find that your party is doing something which is hurting the nation, disown the party, ladies and gentlemen. That's what is required today of every I regret, I expected some of the senior members of the bar who are members of the Congress party to be present here today. I am missing them very badly. But I miss them, ladies and gentlemen, because I feel that ultimately lawyers will listen to a good argument and change their mind and change their program in politics as well as in the law courts. Now, ladies and gentlemen, great scholars who know economics, who have made a study. The study has revealed that this nation has lost about $1,500 billion over the years. $1,500 billion. Please make a calculation in terms of rupees. I believe it will run into some lakhs and lakhs and lakhs, thousands and thousands of lakhs, crores in Indian rupees. The amount is such that if brought back to this country, Mr. Pranab, our finance minister, can do for a 30 years budget without any taxes. Every Indian family will get 2.5 lakhs. Our deficit and our national debt shall stand wiped out overnight. This is the colossal amount of wealth, ladies and gentlemen, that is lying abroad. Now let me give you a word about the United Nations trying to grapple with the problem of corruption. Ladies and gentlemen, the United Nations produced a very comprehensive convention running into some more than 46 sections. It's a great document. It was open for ratification in the year 2003. And at that time, the BJP government was in power. The BJP was at that time busy with organizing their elections, which were due in the beginning of the next year. They had no time even to frame rules under the local act which was passed. We passed that act because the United Nations had said that every country must legislate on these lines. And ladies and gentlemen, in 2004, or in the end of 2004 or beginning of 2005, a United Nations delegation turned up in India to find out what we were doing with our money laundering law. Ladies and gentlemen, it was found that even the institutions, the kind of authorities which the Act contemplated for its working had not come into existence yet. Nobody was interested in allowing that law to come into force. So ladies and gentlemen, that delegation from abroad sat on our neck and compelled us to do the necessary acts of creating subordinate bodies and to frame rules. And they completed this job by 2007, and there was a cryptic announcement in the press that the Act has now come into force. It was at that time, ladies and gentlemen, that there are some honest people in this country. That is how the country still survives. There was an honest man in the income tax department who was dealing with Hassan Ali's case. He wrote to his Swiss counterpart that please give us particulars of the wealth of this man whose case I am investigating. There was another honest man at that other side. That fellow wrote a very simple letter that please tell me whether you are investigating a simple case of tax evasion or are you investigating a case of money laundering. At that time, the people in the government came to know that one of our honest employees doing an honest job is putting all of us into trouble. Ladies and gentlemen, no communication went from India to that honest Swiss officer who said, only make a declaration that you are investigating money laundering and we will give you all the information. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Switzerland, whose prosperity, it is a country whose prosperity depends upon the laws which ensure customer confidentiality about the accounts of the customers in the bank. But even they respect international law. They respect international pressures which have recently been built up in the civilized world. Nothing happened, ladies and gentlemen. Hassan Ali had been asked to pay arrears of income tax amounting to 40,000 crores. Please understand how much must be the income. Of course, that also was a false estimate. It was an incomplete estimate to the extent to which the poor, honest man could conceive of things. He asked for 40,000 crores only by way of tax arrears. Ladies and gentlemen, it is at that stage when these things started coming to light that I said, my God, I don't deserve to be a practicing lawyer. I must now become a client. And I wanted a counsel very badly. Who do you think I went to? I went to my friend Anil. We five of us, myself and four of my other citizens of India, including Mr. KPS Gill and Mr. Subhash Kashyap, we became five petitioners, and as petitioners represented by Mr. Ali Divan, started our battle for the recovery of these poor people's assets lost by these mighty dacoits who have been in power. I want to tell you two more facts. How did the German government get these names? The Germans are the neighbors of a small little state called Liechtenstein. They found out an employee of that bank. They gave him $470 million. $470 million by way of a bribe. And that employee gave them a disc containing the names of all the dacoits of the world who were trading, who had accounts in that bank. The Germans looked at them, and what did they find? That there were more names of Indians than of anybody else. Matter of shame. If I was the Prime Minister of this country or you were the Prime Minister of this country, what would you have done? You would have taken the first available plane to Germany, gone and sat dharna at the office of the German Chancellor and said, Madam Chancellor, please give us the name. Our nation is dying of hunger. We want to take back this money to the owners of that money. Similarly, ladies and gentlemen, another bank, the UBS bank, there the French government bribed one of the bankers of that bank and managed to get another disc containing names. Lo and behold, that too contains the names of Indian dacoits. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not 1991. This is recently, I think it was about the year 2000. Anil, you will remember the exact time. And I think it was 2008 or 2009. 2009. Ladies and gentlemen, nothing has been done. And it is at that time, ladies and gentlemen, that we went to the court. All that the government of India has done since then is to discredit us in court, is to give false excuses to the people, and all that they have been trying to do is to create evidence that there is some legal provision under which this cannot be given to us. But why are you concerned? Mr. Arun Kumar this morning told you that they are talking of a double taxation avoidance treaty. It is the chimera of their imagination, the dishonest imagination of the government of India, including Mr. Chidambaram, Mr. Prashant Kumar, and Mr. Manmohan Singh. I have been saying, for God's sake, produce the correspondence. Produce the correspondence under which you tried to get this money. The correspondence is not being produced. Ultimately, the Supreme Court has made various orders. I don't wish to bother you with those. All of you can read the judgment. This judgment of the Supreme Court should be circulated, for God's sake, to every person present here. What has the Supreme Court done? The Supreme Court first of all said, I'm sorry, the light is so bad. The worries of this court, look at the poignant text of this judgment. The worries of this court that arise in the context of the matters placed before us are with respect to transfers of monies and accumulation of monies which are unaccounted for by many individuals and other legal entities in the country in foreign banks. The worries of this court relate not merely to the quantum of monies said to have been secreted away in foreign banks, but also the manner in which they may have taken away from the country and with the nature of the activities and those how they have been engendered so much of cash. And ladies and gentlemen, finally, large amounts of unaccounted for monies stashed away in banks located in jurisdictions. They thrive on strong privacy laws. Many schools of thought exist with regard to the primary functions of the state and the normative expectations of what the role of the state ought to be. Then they finally say that the state is the guardian, and we regret to say that the guardian has not performed its duty of being a guardian. And without bothering you more, I have already taken too much time. Ladies and gentlemen, I have underlined all those passages in the judgment which every lawyer should know. And if you read those passages, any government with any sense of self-respect should have knocked out, should have gone out of office that minute. and they should have run for cover. The people should have made them run for cover. They should not have been allowed to get onto the streets of this country, and they should have been denied admission to any respectable drawing room of any host who wishes to cater to their evening functions and to their evening hospitality. Ladies and gentlemen, ultimately they passed an order. When was that order passed? The Supreme Court had announced that we are going to deliver judgment on the 4th of July 2011. They knew what the judgment is going to be. What do you think they did? Ladies and gentlemen, they first of all made a big announcement that we have now ratified the Convention Against Corruption. The convention was opened for ratification in 2005. In 2011, for the first time, under the stress of the Supreme Court proceedings, they said that we have now ratified the convention, and the Prime Minister made a public statement. See, this shows how determined we are to get at this money. You were doing nothing. You were doing nothing till 2011. Ladies and gentlemen, I said, my God, this is too good to be true. There is some fraud here. I'm a criminal lawyer, not in vain. Ladies and gentlemen, when a witness gets into the box and I see him take his oath of office, I swear in the name of God, I will speak the truth, nothing but the truth. I know that the man has come determined to speak well-upping lies. And that is exactly my intuition told me, that this is a new fraud. I went and looked at the ratification. Ladies and gentlemen, in the ratification they have said that we have bilateral treaties with many nations. Wherever we have a treaty, this convention won't apply. The provisions of the treaty will apply.